My name is Damien. Some of you are already really familiar with me and my videos. Some of you are brand new to this work. So let's take a look at Ask Damien. First, the spiritual weather report. So in this spiritual weather report, I want to talk about, of course, the weather on the planet right now, which has been stormy and sometimes sunny. And sometimes there's been even a little bit of snow if you're in higher elevations. Like I come from California and up in the mountains, I'm sure there's a little bit of snow, at least around the peaks. And where I am right now in Germany, I'm sure there's snow falling in the Alps, the German Alps. So there's a lot of different weather going on, but the underlying main force of the energy weather is of cleaning up and getting creative. It's of upgrading. It's of letting go of old patterns, old behaviors that no longer fit to you or to the you where you're going, the you are becoming. New desires. I say that with sort of a heavy presence because new desires are bubbling up within a lot of us right now as a result of this cleaning up energy, this cleaning out energy, sorting out energy. We're getting new desires. The energy on the planet right now is very supportive of new desires. It's very supportive of getting creative, of even creating a slightly or even wholly new identity for ourselves. Doesn't mean you have to change, but you might want to consider letting go of some of those old habits, old patterns, old behaviors, and developing some new ones that fit more to you that you are now, rather than the you were before. I'm not judging the old patterns. I'm not judging the old behaviors. But I bet some of you out there have new desires, things you want now that maybe you didn't want before, or you weren't so aware that you wanted them. So how do we make these new desires reality? My invitation is get creative and see if you can begin to let go of your resistance to having it all work out. Because in the end, it is all going to work out. And it's going to work out with you, not without you. On that note, now let's take our question. A man in northern Germany, actually from Hamburg, asked me the following question. How can I reach my goals? I've got some really big goals, and I've also had some great successes in the past, but it's been going rather slowly, kind of like it's a bumpy road or something, or I'm only going uphill. How can I reach my goals? Now, I'm not really a goals counselor, but I certainly can look in his energy to see what's there. So when I looked into his energy, I read his energy, here's what I saw. He kept trying to do everything all at once, get great results in leaps and bounds. He wanted it all now, and he was very frustrated because he'd had some big successes in the past. Well, sometimes you can't just tell people what you read. And I read that I couldn't tell him just the answer to his question without a little bit of back and forth. So I asked him, did he get those big results sort of overnight? Or was there sort of a lead up to that, like preparation and work and building up to those big results? And he thought about it for a moment and said, actually, I did go step by step. And I love it when the clients actually say the answers that I read in their energy. I had read that he needed to go step by step, and maybe even some small steps, and feel his way to those great results that he had set as goals. So it's a combination of planning, it's a combination of lots of hard work, or at least some work, probably. And it's also feeling your way step by step. And some of those steps are big steps, but a lot of them are really small steps, but they add up. In Germany here, we have a saying of little stuff also adds up. Actually, in German, it's a little bit different than that, but it sort of means that. These little steps add up. So it's like somebody who puts $1 into their savings account every day. After 10 years, they've got a lot of money in their savings account. So, but we're not talking about saving anything here. We're talking about getting things done, making things happen. Take small steps. And here's the bonus that I read, and sort of a bonus tip that I read in his energy. Don't forget to take a break from time to time and do something nice for yourself. In one of my other videos, I talked about self-love. It's very important to take our little breaks. Make sure we have what we need. Breathe, drink water, or other light fluids. Maybe just take a break, take a rest. And then go step by step. Now it's time for our tip for life. Today's tip for life is be generous. Be generous with yourself. Being generous has a lot to do with forgiving yourself. Very often we beat ourselves up because we did something that we're not satisfied with. Or we said something and we regret that we said it at all or that we said it that way. We are going to do things that we regret. Maybe even every day. If we're really conscious, we'll notice, oh, that I could have done better, or I could have done that differently, or I could have said that differently, or I would have liked to have had the outcome be different. Being generous, being big, being magnanimous, I can't even say the word, magnanimous, maybe I shouldn't say that word, being big is necessary for being balanced and centered. Being big means no matter what happens around me, I'm true to myself and I stay in my center. And when I fall out of my center, or when I'm pulled out of my center, I remind myself, and out of generosity to myself, maybe even out of gratitude to myself, God, the universe, I come back into my warm center, which reminds me of who I really am. And I forgive myself for all those things that I think I might have done wrong or I feel guilty about. Again, this is a practicing thing. Remember that phrase? I've mentioned it once or twice in other videos. Practice makes perfect. That practicing is what will help us to remember, to almost automatically, or at least naturally, go back into our center, forgive ourselves, and be big and centered. Be big again. Be generous again. Of course, being generous to myself leads me to being generous with others, because when I'm generous with myself, I have more space. I have more room for myself, for my own thoughts, for my own mistakes or not being perfect. And the same for the others. I have more room for their mistakes, for their rough edges, maybe even for their behaviors which don't exactly match my pictures of, or desires, of how I would like them to be. Being generous is being who you truly are. Who you truly are is generous. This is your spiritual green light.